Good early morning and welcome to Teal House Farm. Come join me this morning. We're going to do our chores on the homestead. It's extra cold, so that means double pants because fashion doesn't matter when you hate being cold. Let's get all toasted up, and of course we're going to need our work coat. Sam and I actually use the same work coat for whoever's doing farm chores. It's good, old, and sturdy, and it's going to keep all the dirt off my jammies because I didn't bother to get changed this morning yet. And we need our work gloves too because we're doing some heavy lifting and just don't want to cut up our hands when we move some wood. First step is always to feed the cats because they're always out there waiting for us. They will be underfoot the whole time if you don't feed them. The goats hear us come outside, so they're coming towards the barn as well. We feed the cats all together, just with a big scoop of cat food. We feed them enough to keep them around, but we don't stuff them because we want them to do a good job mousing around the farm, which they do. And don't worry, these cats are all spayed or neutered, so there will be no more kitty cats on the farm. Next step is always to unplug the electric fence. As I say in every video about goats, that's a lesson that you learn one time, and then you always make sure you unplug it. Let's check the big water trough. It looks pretty full. We're going to go ahead and just kick some ice out of there, but I think they'll be good to go for today. Don't need to refill it. Then we get a couple flakes of hay for our male goats. They live up here in the front barn, and we keep them separate from the doe right now because she just had some babies, and we don't want them roughing up those babies. We just use this old box here. I think it's some sort of postal carrier box. It was left here by the previous owners, and it makes a pretty decent hay trough. Sorry he's so dirty, but if you didn't know, goats pee on themselves to attract females, so that's what you look like when you pee on yourself. Next up, it's back into the barn. We're gonna get what we need for our mama goat and her babies. So first thing is her scoop of sweet feed. Since she's nursing, she gets some extra calories. She absolutely loves the sweet feed. She knows it's coming. She can hear me jingling it around. She's gonna come right up to the fence because she's gonna try to eat it out of my scoop. She knocks me over about every morning trying to get that feed out of my hand, but we make it down the hill safely and into her tray. The babies are about 4 weeks old, so they're starting to nibble as well, but she's gonna eat the majority of that herself. Always take a moment in the morning to pet the little babies so they get used to having people around and touching them. And then it's into their little shed to take down the hay net, which we're going to take up to the main barn to fill with our hay. We don't cut our own hay on the farm. I do not have any large equipment, so we do have to buy hay in winter. If you can plan ahead and buy it and store it in the fall, it tends to be less expensive. If you're needing to buy it in February, then you're going to pay a premium price, so we try to stock up. To fill the hay net, we're going to put the hay on a flat surface, and then we open it as wide as it goes, and we stuff it basically like you stuff a big fat pillow in a pillowcase. So we get all the corners tucked in, and then we're going to flip it upside down and shake the hay down to the bottom. We have 3 adult goats and those 2 babies, and between them they eat between 3 to 4 flakes of hay a day, if that gives you an idea of how much we go through. And then I carry my little Santa sack of hay back down their little hill, back to their little shed, and we're going to hang it up. This is probably my least favorite chore I have, and it's not because it's hard, it's because at this time of the year it gets kind of rainy, and this incline down to the shed is incredibly slippery. I fall basically once a day, and it's just because it's so slick to get down there. This was not a smart place to build a shed, but when we built it, we hadn't spent enough time thinking about what the winter would be like, so now we know. Hang it up over the rafter, and we're gonna just clip it closed, and then it's ready to go. The babies are gonna come in and see if they can take a little nibble, and I'm sure Mama will be in after she finishes her grain. Now we need to see about their water situation. We just use 5-gallon buckets right now for the water. Like I said, we have that big water trough up at the main barn, but while they're separated, we just use a 5-gallon bucket because those big water troughs are very expensive. So in the morning we fill it up, and then I'll check it again in the afternoon to make sure she hasn't knocked it over. The babies aren't quite drinking the water yet. They'll poke at it, but they're mainly just nursing off their mama at this time. Next thing, always plug it back in so that your goats don't end up in the road, and check to make sure that it's actually powered on and reading. Next, we're going to go check out the loudest members of the farm, which are our ducks and our geese. Same thing as the goats. We need to get that fence unplugged, and then we're going to grab our water buckets. You can never have enough 5-gallon buckets on a homestead, I'll tell you that right away. Luckily, it's not too long of a walk from the hose to where we keep the ducks and geese, so we just fill them up in front of the house, and then we lug them down to the fence. And then we're going to go ahead and refill their water dishes. We do not have a large splash pool for the ducks and geese at this time. It's just a pain in the winter when it freezes to try to get it cleaned out. So we find in the winter it's just better to have these smaller dishes. And just like the goats, we come back and we check on them in the afternoon. They usually need a refill in the afternoon. As far as feed goes, we just have this hanging feed trough, which works well to keep poop out of it. And we fill it up about every third day. It holds enough feed that we don't have to fill it every day. Then we check around for eggs. And we always plug back in what you unplugged so that nobody ends up in the street. And the last chore is to get wood for our wood stove today. So we're going to just pull it off of our wood stacks. We're going to stack it up in our mudroom. And then we are going to go inside and get started for the day. I usually bring in 1 to 2 loads of wood. We just have a small bucket for storing it inside. So that bucket will have to be refilled several times today. It's always important to put things back where you got them from so that the next time you have to go out at 5 in the morning, you're not searching for your gloves or your boots. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. Sam's already been up for several hours studying for his nursing exam, so he's going to take a break and start the fire for me. The kids have started to wake up, so we need to get their breakfast started. Just some oatmeal today. We're going to keep it simple. The fire dies at night. We don't stay up to keep it going unless it's going to be super cold. The house retains the heat pretty well as long as it's not going to be down in the single digits. When it gets that cold, then we do have to get up and stuff our wood stove every night. This is our main source of heat on the homestead, so it's important to keep it running to keep the house warm. Thanks so much for watching. We will catch you all next time.